Okay, time to start. This is the Saugus Zoning Board of Appeals. First thing I'd like to do is introduce our members. We have Stephanie Romano, Peter Rossetti, Robert Northup, Chris Riley, and myself, Tom Travis. The way we normally conduct our hearing is generally informal. We follow the agenda as it appears in the newspaper advertisement. If anyone is under some personal pressure and needs to be heard out of turn, just let us know. Noting none, I will continue. There are three reasons we come before this board. The first is to seek a variance for some dimensional relief. The second is a special permit to do something to your property. Or the third is an appeal against the decision of the building inspector. I've asked all the board members to view the properties and be prepared to make decisions this evening if we have enough information presented to us this evening. Once the board has made its decision, the clerk will have 14 days to prepare the decision and get that decision to the town clerk to be stamped in and filed as an official record. Pretty much leave that paperwork to Stephanie, our clerk. And if you have any more questions about appeal periods or something, she could be able to fill you in on that. There is a 21-day appeal period. Once that is done, you'll have a recording of me. You'll bring that back to the inspectional services. It'll be recorded. After completing the necessary paperwork and paying the necessary fees, the building inspector can issue you a permit based on any conditions we put on you this evening. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Yes, sir.
Is the property big enough to do all the things you just mentioned?
Excuse me?
Is the property big enough to do all the things that you just mentioned?
What property are you talking?
The zone, the rezoning.
Well, we haven't got to the particular
Okay.
articles yet, sir. Okay. At this time, I will ask anyone who wishes to speak this evening to be sworn in at one time. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. If Mr. Riley, you could lead us in the national Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, getting right in it. The first petition we have, it's on the petition of VL General Contracting LLC, owners of the property at 85 Fairmont Ave, lot number 106, plan number 1032, seeking a special permit to add a second floor addition on the existing footprint and variances for a pre-existing 12,000 square foot lot where 20,000 is required and a pre-existing 16.5 front yard side deck where 20 is required, and a pre-existing 80 foot of frontage where 100 is required, and 11.3 side yard where 15 is required. Is the petitioner here or his representative?
Yes, we are.
Would you like to step up to the podium? And please give your name and address, Stephanie. I know you're yelling it across the room, but Stephanie, you're over there, right? Yep. That's all. If you name your,
So my name is Hector Prieto. My address is 114 Addison Street, Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Okay.
I'm actually just the friend of the owner.
Okay.
So I'm just helping him out on this matter here.
okay,
My name is Victor Lopez. My address is 34 Riverside Avenue, Chelsea.
okay. My initial, do you plan on owner occupying this house, or?
He
is it-
does.
You do plan on moving in?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna live there, okay. Do I have any questions from the board?
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Rivera.
it looks like you already put the second floor on.
That is correct.
You did? Okay. Normally, what you do is you ask for permission before you build it.
Yes, they did talk with Inspectional Services, the building inspector there, Michael Vecchia, did make that clear to them and gave them the denial letter as they were working on the project. So they received a at-risk permit at that
Okay.
time to do.
So he shut it down for a while.
No, it was never legally shut down, it was just, hey, we'll let you work, in the meantime, go in front of the board. So they
Okay.
do have an active building permit.
All right,
Okay. Like I said, normally what you do is you get
Yes.
permission before you go ahead, just in case it doesn't fly.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
It would be, that would be real awkward. Okay, the other question was on the, okay, that's it.
the relief that they're asking for, I don't think it's significant. It's usually just a few feet less than what's required or different size. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just a couple of questions. Mr. Lopez, I think you said over the weekend, the little deck on the side of the house with the sliding doors, there's gonna be no stairs there?
No steps.
No stairs? And where do you plan to put the driveway?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's 2 driveways on the property, he plans on keeping them
Okay, you have both?
as is.
So on both sides of the house?
Correct, left and right.
That's all I have.
And it is gonna remain a single-family house,
That is correct.
only one kitchen.
Only one thing.
Correct.
How many bedrooms are gonna be in the house?
Right now, currently proposed is 5.
5 bedrooms, and how many baths?
They have 3.
It's gonna be three baths,
So one is part of the main bedroom, and then a common
master bath, okay. Any other questions from the board? No. Do I have any motions?
Motion to close the hearing?
Seconded by the chair. Peter, would you like to read it in?
Sure. Okay. Stephanie?
Oh, sure.
Well, Stephanie's gonna do it, great.
On the petition of VL General Construction LLC, owner of the property at 85 Fairmount Ave, lot number 106, plan number 1032, seeking a special permit to add a second floor addition on the existing footprints. Move to grant the special permit on the grounds that it is no more detrimental to the neighborhood, condition be that it remain a single family.
And chair seconds that.
I'll second it.
Any other conditions that the board, I don't think, mainly single family, I think is about it. You're in agreement, Peter? Okay. Stephanie?
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. All right. Now the variances.
As to the variance, for a pre-existing 12,000 square foot lot size where 20,000 square feet is required, a pre-existing 16.5 foot front yard setback where 20 feet is required, a pre-existing 80 foot frontage where 100 feet is required, and an 11 by 3 foot side yard setback where 15 feet is required. I need to grant the variance due to the shape, soil, topography, position of the house on the land.
And again, to remain a single family. And the chair seconds that. Stephanie?
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're all set. So at the beginning of the week, talk to Stephanie and she'll tell you what to do to go forward, okay?
Thank you, board members.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Excuse me.
On the petition of Edward Wildman and Jaylene O'Brien, owners of property at 65 Great Woods Road, lot number 17, plan number 1043, seeking a special permit to enlarge and add a second-story addition and a variance for a 10-yard setback where 15 is required and 3 is currently existing. And is the petitioner
Yes.
or his representative here? If you could go to the podium. And give us an idea what you're looking to do.
Put a second-story addition over an existing single-story addition that's in non-conformity.
So you're not changing the footprint from the existing?
I'm going 3 feet out on each side. I need it for the footings in order to maintain
Okay.
the weight.
What was a little bit confusing to me, it just seemed odd, was the side yard, 10-yard setback where 15 is required, and it's currently 3 feet?
The
Just the way that
existing
reads,
house-
it's kind of odd that
Yeah.
you're bringing,
original house is
nobody brings it in.
Yeah, the original existing house that was built back in 1940s or something is off 3 feet existingly off of the side setback.
Okay,
But the addition that was put on sometime, nobody's sure when, was set back somewhere about 14 feet.
so it's more of a lot thing than it is
Yeah, but there's a right of way on
it's a
one
lot thing more
side.
than it is a structure thing.
Yeah,
You're really not taking 7 feet off the house.
no,
Okay, that's what I couldn't figure.
I took 7 feet off my house, it's only be 15 feet
Right, that's what
wide.
I mean. Any other questions from the board?
Not on this one.
And it's gonna remain a single-family house? What's the makeup of the room count going to be when it's the
It'll be
addition
the
time?
same room count, I'll just have an extra bathroom and a half. I'll still
Okay,
have
so what
3
is that room
bedrooms.
count though? How
3
many-
bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? No, guys are too easy.
Easy.
All right, since there's no other questions, do I have any motions?
You gonna ask for comments?
Any comments from the audience on this?
Noting none,
For or
Mr. Chairman,
against?
move to close the hearing.
Second?
That's been seconded. And who wants to read this one?
I can take it.
Okay.
On the petition of Edward Wildman and Jaylene O'Brien, owner of the property at 65 Great Woods Road, lot number 17, plan number 1043, seeking a special permit to enlarge and add a second-story addition. I make the motion to approve the special permit, where it's a finding of the board that the proposed addition is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Second.
Mr. Rosetti seconds. And, condition just to remain a single family.
Condition of a single family.
Stephanie on the special permit?
Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. And now on the variance?
Yep, and for the variance of for a 10-foot side yard setback where 15 feet is required and 3 feet is currently existing, make the motion to approve that based upon the shape, soil, and topography which affect the land.
Seconded by the chair. And same condition as to remain a single family.
Single family, yes.
Stephanie?
Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're all set. So at the
Thank you.
beginning of the week, call Stephanie and she'll finish the details with you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I just make a point?
Yes.
Because you didn't ask if anybody questioned the number one on the list. You didn't ask a couple of yes or no.
All right. Do you have any?
I don't actually have a
apologize
yes
for
or a
that.
no, but
I
just
apologize
wonder-
for that.
I just wonder if it's practice of this board to have them build it and then come ask for permission. I mean,
No, it
is
isn't.
that proper? Is that?
No, it's not
developers-
proper, and I know that's why the building inspector got on him for that. I believe, I'd have to check with him. I think he might have doubled, if they were still here, I think he probably doubled their fees for doing that. like their permitting fees.
Okay, well,
They're not supposed to do that, and I think they
I know,
realize
but that's
that
what
now.
happens in Saugus.
I
They're
know,
not
I
supposed to,
know.
and then
They ask for
permission.
forgiveness afterwards.
But
Right,
I'm not against the project.
right, I understand what
And
you're
if you
saying.
guarantee that it's gonna be, still be a single-family home, even though
Well, they
it's a
say
double
that, they say that it
driveway.
is.
Okay.
They say
well,
that it is.
I expect that, I mean, if they have 5 bedrooms, I know it's gonna be a house full
They'll
with
be-
one kitchen,
right.
but, I mean, they cleaned up the area.
Right,
And
you're gonna
I'm not
improve the
against
house.
that. I just happen to be against the fact that they did it, and then I get notice in the mail that they are seeking permission to do it, that's all.
Right, I think the building department did handle it. When he
Okay.
mentioned that their permit was at risk, that means that the building inspector could actually have stopped the project right then, and everything they did could have asked them to pull it back,
Okay,
like to take everything off. But he allowed them to go.
Unless you're not gonna stop it.
Right, Gene, yeah, if I'm saying it right, you can add if you need
Comes
to.
past practice and then
But
keeps going and going and going.
It's at risk.
You're right.
Everything they did was at risk. In other words, he let them continue. He was probably open to weather, so that's probably why he did it,
well, now they did
but
it
Mike is,
during the cold weather.
Mike's pretty constant when somebody does something like this and goes ahead, that he doubles fees.
Okay,
And it's not, and that's not cheap. Building fees can be expensive.
but
We're
I know,
talking, you could be doubling the fees from $1,000 to $3,000, $2,000 to $3,000 it could cost
Be a
them.
lot more if you made them peel it back.
yeah,
Right.
but it's just that developers do things,
But
and then
I
come ask for
apologize.
forgiveness,
Peter
that's all.
reminded me in the second one, I apologize
Yes.
for not opening it up.
Well, I did wanna be able
No, no,
to
glad-
face
glad.
them, since one of them says he's gonna live there, I did wanna
Well, that's,
face one of them.
when they give in, I usually ask that when they don't give that as their address. But he says they are gonna live there, so we have to,
Okay,
we have to take it for their word,
yep, yep,
okay?
but we have it on record that it's gonna be a single-family home, even though it's a double driveway.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what they're saying.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody else's opportunity to speak
I'm going.
at this point? Okay. On the petition of Erasmo Jimenez Garcia, and I apologize for my pronunciation of names, owners of property at 7 Indian Rock Drive, lot number 318, land number 1038, a special permit for an accessory dwelling for his mother. Is the petitioner here? You come up to the podium and give your names to Stephanie.
Hello, my name is Kevin Alarcon. I'm here with a family member assisting.
My name is Erasmo Jimenez Garcia, and the owner of the property 7 Indian Rock Drive.
All right, give us an idea of what you're looking to do.
Okay. Yeah, so just, I needed a unit for my mother. She living with me all the time, and I bought this property last year. So I want the lower level,
Yeah?
the only unit for her.
Okay. And how big is that unit? Do we have dimensions on that?
Yeah,
604 square feet.
yeah, approximately
It's
a little
well
over
over.
600.
Because half of the downstairs is garage, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
615, 620.
So you understand that it's still a legal, single-family home,
Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing.
and your mother's going in there, and if you switch tenants to another, you can only have a family member down there. If you switch tenants, you have to inform the building department. If you have a new tenant, new family member living down there. Can you think of any other questions?
If it's a non-family member, that's an issue.
If it's a non-family member, that would potentially be an issue.
Yeah.
It's always a potential where it's not illegal two-family, that you might be asked to pull some elements of a kitchen if you didn't have a family member living down there. You might have to disconnect the stove with the plumbing. That's a possibility. I don't see it forthcoming, but that's a possibility if you don't have a family member down there,
Yeah.
okay?
You can't turn the house into a two-family.
Oh,
Yeah, your mother
No.
went left, you couldn't rent it out to somebody.
Yeah, no, only for my mother, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? No, it's pretty straightforward. You're next, go ahead. From the audience.
So he's just making downstairs a two-family, because it says here.
No, it's an accessory unit, it's just for a family member.
Okay, so this, I
His
just wanted
mother.
to make sure it was, it's because it says an accessory dwelling, so he's not putting an additional dwelling on the property.
No, it's within the, it's,
That's fine.
the split level, it's at,
No, I know the property in my mom's backyard is right there, so
Yeah.
when it came
No,
out,
it's
he
within
thought
the-
he was building an additional building in the backyard. So we're like, no.
some of the rules that people, on an accessory unit, you cannot expand the property. It
Okay.
has to be built within the existing property.
It can't
That's
be
fine.
bigger than,
It can't be bigger than 900 square feet, without, there's some exceptions, but they're small.
I have no problem with that.
Any other questions from the audience?
Excuse me, Mr. Travis. I'm sorry, I just have your name, please.
Can you-
Cantano,
And your address?
5 Arrowhead Drive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
move to close.
Move to close the hearing.
Second?
And who wants to read this one?
Sure, I'll read this one. On the petition of Erasmo Jimenez Garcia, owner of property at 7 Indian Rock Drive, Lot 318, Plan 1038, seeking a special permit for an accessory dwelling for his mother. Grounds would be no more detrimental. Condition would be that it remain a single-family home. And also, you may have to file with the town. They haven't instituted it yet, but they're talking about possibly having a yearly fee. So to have an accessory dwelling like this, or accessory unit, excuse me, you may have to file each year with the town saying, my mother still lives here, and they may charge you $50 or $100, something like that. Okay, just so that you know. But if a non-family member or someone else, something happens, mom goes away, and you say, gee, I can rent this out for $2,000 a month, you can't do that, okay? Okay. So remain single-family and no more detrimental.
All right, so Stephanie? What, yes?
Oh, give me a second. Sorry. Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're all set, so details, contact Stephanie Monday. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
On the petition of Joseph D. Filippo, owners of property at 47 Magnolia Street, lot number 164, plan number 1031, seeking a special permit to add a second story over existing footprint and a garage and a 16 by 16 single-story addition to the back of the house, and variances for a 16.4 front yard setback where 20 is required, and a 5.9 side yard setback where 15 is required, and a pre-existing 7,200 square foot lot where 20,000 is required. And is the petitioner or his representative here?
Yep.
Gives us an idea of what you'd like to do.
Yeah, I'm Joe DeFilippo, 47 Magnolia Street. So my wife and I bought our home 6 years ago, classic Cape style. And we had a first baby, so now we're looking to expand on that and going up and out. So we're looking to, tear the whole second level off, build it straight up to have a nice flat ceiling as opposed to the slants. The driveway doing, basically it's an oversized single-car garage that would lead up to what I believe would be the master bedroom. And then on the back right of the home, that 16 by 16 addition that would serve as a living room. And then the front setback is like a 5 by 6 kind of just a bump out that would come over the steps to create like a mud room and then go up 2 stories.
Okay, the only thing that, a couple of things that confused me a little bit was on the front setback, the 16.4. Are those just stairways in the front, or is there an overhang gonna be there, or?
So, yeah, right now it's just the existing front staircase, so that
Yeah.
would just come up over it to basically, enclose it, kinda like a mud room.
So you're gonna enclose it though with a,
And then, but not a
Okay.
pergola, but it would run the 2 stories, so some houses like a colonial. it would
but we'll
come-
have a roof on it?
Yeah.
Second, protruding,
Yep.
okay. Because with a roof, if it didn't have a roof, it was just stairways, it wouldn't count in the setback.
Oh, okay, yep.
But it does, because you're putting a roof there. The rest of it seems okay. I'm a little bit concerned with, that's a small side yard setback of 5.9. For safety reasons, the fire department usually likes the idea of a 6-foot turnaround. So you're right on you're right on the line there. You're 3 inches off, we're not gonna worry too much about it, but I think you have to be aware of that they need a walkthrough for safety reasons.
Yep, I spoke to Bob and Chris about that during their site visit.
Bob and-
told-
Okay,
Bob
yeah,
and Chris Riley.
Yeah.
So spoke about that, obviously would never do anything to, put like the firefighters in jeopardy if God forbid they had to make a, stop over there like a fence or something like that.
right, but even if you did put a fence down that end, which people tend to do, you'd wanna gate that even small area, but you don't wanna keep barrels and things like that on, you really wanna keep a free flow over there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I look at your plan, I don't really see how you can really back off from it. I know you usually need a minimum of 17 feet for a garage. I don't see. Are there any other questions from the board?
Yeah, just questions on the height. Do you know the height of the garage in particular?
Yep. So I'll kind of like backtrack it. So if you walked in the front door of the house and you were to walk up to the second level, it would be approximately 18 feet higher than where your feet would be standing at that point. So depending on the grade of the property outside, it would be 28 to 30 feet total.
Okay, so you see the garage being 28 to 30 feet in height?
Yeah.
All right. So the reason I'm asking that is, like Mr. Travers said, it's really close to the line. Your neighbor's house is really close to the same line. If there are any neighbors that might want to comment on it, I want to know what they're signing up for. I want them to know what they're signing up for
Yeah, sure.
by going along with this. Other question I had, we talked about this, there's a deck in the back of the house, or the addition on the back of the house. Is there any stairway coming off of that?
Oh, no, that'll just be closed in the house.
Yeah.
That deck does not have a roof above it,
What's it, the deck?
deck.
Oh, yeah, no roof, it's just a,
Okay,
regular
because
deck.
again, you're on the edge. You're allowed 25% lot coverage, you have 24.2.
Yeah, look,
So you are on the edge on these things, and
yeah,
like I said,
maximize the space.
they're there for a reason, they're there for safety concerns.
Absolutely.
Anything else from the board?
Nope. All I have.
Any comments from anyone in the audience, either for or against? Do I have a motion?
Motion to close.
Second?
And that's been seconded. Anyone wants to read this one in?
I'll read it, Bob.
Okay.
On the petition of Joseph DeFlippo, owner of property at 47 Magnolia Street, Lot 164, Plan 1031, seeking a special permit to add a second story over existing footprint in a garage and a 16 by 16 single-story addition to the back of the house and variances for a 16.4-foot front yard setback where 20 is required.
We'll just do the special permit, right? Just the special permit first.
Yeah. And a, well, I got lost where I am here.
Well, I think we want to end it there, right? Just a special permit
Scott, yeah,
first.
did-
Special permit.
Has that been seconded?
Second.
Okay. And condition being to remain a single-family home?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, can we also add a condition about, on the garage side, either having a gate there or having it open altogether?
Okay, on the side, which we looking at the house,
Yeah, the 5.9-foot side.
5.9, that either has to be gated or open.
Okay, I have a question, and maybe if this is the right forum. So if there were a gate, does it matter like where next to the garage it would be?
As long as people, as long as the fireman can walk through the backyard.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's no problem.
No, I wouldn't
Opens
care if the
in or
gate was
out, doesn't
towards the
really
front
matter.
of the,
Okay,
in or out, I don't think matters, whether the gate was towards the front or the back of the garage, doesn't matter. You just want that free flow.
yep.
You can't lock it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. We will be putting the gate there, we have a dog, but yeah, it won't be locked
Right.
or anything like that.
Okay, on the special permit, Stephanie?
Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes?
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano? Yes. Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're now on the variance, Bob?
And a variance, and a 5-yard setback where,
No,
Fif-
before that.
oh, before.
Variance is for a 16.4 front
Oh,
yard.
16.4 front yard setback where 20 is required.
Keep
Hey,
going.
Yep.
And a 5.9-foot side setback where 15 is required, and a pre-existing 72-foot lot where 20,000 square feet is required.
And condition,
Condition.
And the condition, the special permit finding is not more
This is a
detrimental
variance.
to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming.
okay. And it's.
Shape of the lot and the size and the position of the house on the lot.
And to remain a
Yeah.
single-family home.
Okay.
And Stephanie,
Second.
the second, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're all set?
All right.
Call the Stephanie and Wyndham.
Great, thank you.
On the petition of Evo Properties, owners of the property at 168 Broadway, on behalf of Sullivan Osgan, lot number 164, plan number 1031, requesting a variance for relief to allow a wall sign over the front entrance, 30 by 3, that is larger than the 10%, and a variance for a secondary wall sign on the side of the building facing Route 1. And is the petitioner here,
Yes, yes.
along with his representatives?
Yes.
I may give you the folder I prepared for you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, give us an idea of what you're looking to do.
Hi, sir.
You
My name
take the
is,
signs one at a time.
my name is Saugus. I'm the new owner. I'm gonna build the chicken and more. Actually, my wife dreams. What we did when we get the lease on this property, we have the old Boston market signs over there. 93 feet. Everything is together. What we ordered, this used to be 12 letters. We can make the chick and more. is gonna only 10 letters. It only cost 90 square feet, 3 feet lower than the Boston market. My son guy over here, he will explain to you all the details. We hire one contractors. Contractors is get the, all the measurement and they order this signs. We find out is 10%. But when we calculate in here, already less than 10% our signs. Everything is equal to 90 feet of long. The first one. If you can able to see, then you can explain to better.
Jim, maybe you can help straighten that out again, because you got confused. What's the percentage of the sign to the front of the building?
10%.
It is less than 10%.
It's 10%. It is 10%.
It is right on 10%.
The Boston market that was there was 93 square feet.
Yeah,
You can see the shadowing on the wall when they pulled the letters off. Even though they painted the front, you can still see the ghosting
yeah,
of the letters. And I measured each letter, the width and the height, and it came to 93 square feet. These, bless you. Now, I know they did it all wrong. I understand that at the beginning. The partner that did that is gone because of this problem. He didn't get the proper permitting, and Mike was angry, and so Sally asked me, he asked them to get me involved, because I've done a lot of signs in Saugus, and I just know.
yeah, I know Mike was a little frustrated on this.
Right, exactly.
We don't wanna make that nobody, we just hired some contractor, I don't know what he did. We don't have nothing to do with this. And we spent over $60,000. They told me this is gonna be grandfather rules, and I don't have nothing to do. Whatever need to take, they have to get the permissions. It's not up to me, and I fired them right away after I heard all this. Whatever the rules is, I'm ready to obey it. But,
Yeah, I've done a lot of signs for Sully, for all around Saugus.
Yeah, it
So I know
just
the rules. And,
doesn't, just very confusing. You have that sign by right, is what you're saying.
I'm asking if it can be grandfathered, I mean.
But you're only asking for what's allowed.
Right,
yes.
but.
And another
So
thing.
how are we
here.
giving a variance on
Well,
something that's
because-
allowed?
Because when the,
You hearing me, Peter?
can I, is it all right?
Yeah,
Okay, so, they didn't want to, it's kind of different, but this is the entrance. To me, the frontage is this to this,
I would think so.
right. Even if there was I mean, it's not there, but even if there was another floor here, it's still frontage.
Okay,
But anyway, so this is actually 50 by 18.
right.
So if we multiply that out, it's almost 1,000 square feet.
900.
50 by 18?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so,
That's okay.
yeah, so we're at 90, we're right there.
So what is Mike only measuring just the facade?
Yeah,
He's measuring it
like I said, I was
over
just,
from this, because is this a joint entrance to something else also?
no, it's locked, there's no entrance for Uber, you mean?
other sides.
There is nothing for Uber.
All this is,
It's-
all entrances to chicken and more.
Yeah. Yep.
So what is Mike just measuring, just this box up here?
Yeah, it's, yeah.
All right, well,
But understandably, it was a little confusing or wrong at the beginning.
right.
And like I said, Sully asked them to get me involved just because I do things right. And I took the measurement.
Well, if that's at 10%, I don't really have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with the Route 1 sign on the side of the building, even though it doesn't have an entrance. So that's why you've got to come before us for that
It's pretty
sign.
important.
But I can see it for visual. You need-
Right.
But it's the same size as what Boston Chicken had up there, I'm assuming.
No, on the side, on the Route 1 side?
Yeah, the Route 1 sign.
No. But the side of the building is actually 1,168 square feet.
Right, so is this new sign smaller or bigger?
It's 90 square feet.
What was the old sign?
I have a picture.
93.
No,
So we're talking the one on Route 1 now.
Yeah. this
We're off the
right
front
there,
one.
This one.
You're all good, you're good on the
Yeah,
front
the
one.
one
I
on
think.
the side.
This the small one I'm talking, this is the last page.
this is,
Is it this thing?
That's what he's gonna do on the sign?
Yeah, it's this thing we're talking about.
this is what they had.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just had that little thing.
So is the new sign gonna be about that size, or it's
No,
gonna be
this
like,
one, yeah.
No, they wanted the channel letters, just like the front.
it's gonna be like the front,
Right, but.
and it'll be within 10%?
It's less than 10%.
Yeah, this side's much bigger.
Yeah, it's much smaller, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Does anyone have any comments on it?
Yeah, I mean, the only way you're gonna see it is if you're coming south. If you're going north, you don't see it at all.
Yeah, but I think they need it for the north. They need it. You're not thinking it doesn't need to be that big?
All right. The original Boston Market, was this entrance here?
Yes, this is exactly.
Was that for more than one business?
This is one business.
Before the car went through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So this,
time or the second?
this was for more than one, was.
Is not.
Okay. It isn't now.
Correct.
So it's all part of the front over to here.
100%.
Okay,
100%.
okay.
It-
And
it-
what you're looking for on the side is this,
Yes.
on the side of the building
Yeah.
where the oval round thing was.
Yeah.
This.
Be honestly, we ordered the other sign right there
Yeah.
on this. We wanted with the lettering instead of the small one. Because this is very big
I told them.
entrance is and very look empty,
I told them that.
Okay.
if possible.
I told them.
Okay.
30 feet
And
by
no-
3, that's 30 feet by 3. So what they're gonna put in the front, they're gonna put inside.
To be honest with you,
I know, but it's a big wall.
yeah.
10% on the side.
The only way you see it is coming south.
Yeah, and you
And
fly
then they
over,
get
you
to turn
got a
around.
little hill there or whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing, I'm surprised that it's not, that Mike didn't have you listed was the pylon sign.
Yeah.
I thought,
Oh, I got a permit for that and it's already installed. I installed
I
it.
saw, I went on the earlier last week and it wasn't up, and then I went at the end, I drove by yesterday, where'd that come from?
How's it look?
It's nice.
It looked good,
Right?
but I don't know, I think we should probably cover that too. I would rather cover that too. I think any changes to any pylon, we should address as a board.
Well, it's just, I just did the 2 pages.
I know that, but I'm just saying,
Okay.
nothing's gonna get knocked out. I'm
You're the
just,
chairman.
I'm just saying,
Whatever
it's,
you say goes.
pylon signs can be abused, they can go crazy, people do.
Oh, putting it.
Every time there's a change to a pylon sign, we
I
need
get
to,
you.
we need to deal with it.
I got you.
I'll talk with Mike and Dan on it.
I got
I
you.
would rather see us deal with it and then make the decision on just saying, well, they're putting up the same as that was there. That's not the way we should be doing things.
Okay.
Is this,
Very similar, yeah.
yeah.
We actually took,
No, they're
the-
not gonna put that type of thing on the side. They're gonna put what's
Yeah.
on the front
Yeah, across.
over
we
there.
actually took the Boston Market signs off, used them as a template,
You okay?
and cut the next end and trim and,
Okay, no, I just want to address that too.
yeah.
Did you just take
You agree with me,
this
Chris? I
sign
think we should address every
and stick it
pylon.
on the pylon?
No,
Sorry.
that's,
It's a different sign? It's not just
Yeah,
this?
Oh, no.
This is empty
We-
right now.
that's, yeah, we took that,
That's gone.
we took that and threw it in the dumpster.
Okay, and this one is two-sided,
Yeah,
the pylon?
Yeah.
Okay,
north and south one, yeah.
okay.
I'm gonna get you again.
Okay.
The thing that I noticed too, when you look at the pylon sign, you really can't see the front of the sign.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, the front of the building, you mean?
Yeah, you can't, you don't get a good look at that anyway.
They have a temporary banner up there and you can't even really see it.
Not with the pylon sign up there,
So
no.
they need all the help they can get. They wanna stay here a long time.
Okay.
And you have the number one, the best rated restaurant in Riviera.
All right, you get 30 seconds to advertise your business.
Very best rated restaurant, please everybody come welcome. In 5 years, we do very good. We have
What
over
kind
2,000
of,
reviews.
no, it's chicken, but what do you, what kind, what's your specialty?
Actually, Richard chicken, the European kind of chicken, they come with the meals, they come the pasta, salad, and chickens. I'm gonna planning to open the roasted, fry, and the pan, and the salads. So every
The full
people.
meals,
Yeah, most likely.
not just
Italian.
chicken wings or
No,
sandwiches
this
or
is all
something.
different kind of
You're
thing. I'm
talking
gonna bring the
full meal.
difference and nice and fresh foods on the Saugus,
Okay.
hopefully.
All right, that's your 30 seconds.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? All right, anything else on the board?
Anyone in the audience?
Anybody in the audience have anything to say? Anybody looking forward to a chicken dinner?
Motion to close?
Motion to close?
Second?
Okay.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Okay,
You'd like to
on the petition of Evo's property, owners of property, 168 Broadway, on behalf of Suleiman. Okay, lot 164, plan 1031, requesting a variance for relief to allow a wall sign over the front entrance, 30 by 3 feet, as it is larger than allowed, 10%, and it's actually allowed. So it doesn't
That's
need a
what's confusing.
variance, but will acknowledge,
Just, yeah, just say 10% is measured,
okay,
because
That's-
the building inspector disagrees.
okay. So it
Different ways
is
to measure.
a 30 by 3 foot sign, which is within the 10% allowed and approved by the board.
Yes, and I second, chair seconds that. Stephanie?
Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
Yes.
Mrs. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes,
Okay.
you're all set? So just,
We got this side.
Okay, and do you want the secondary sign?
oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, and variance also for the secondary wall sign on the side of the building facing Route 1. And grounds again would be shape of the lot and the position of the building on the lot,
And Peter, if we can also add to that,
the 10%.
no, that the existing pylon sign
Excuse
is
me.
permitted.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't want no pylon sign no more, if you give me permission to put this
So
one.
you can have everything.
You don't
We're
want the
giving it to
pylon?
you.
You give me everything?
Yeah,
you
it's
give
up
me
there.
everything. Okay, I'm
Be
sorry.
quiet.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You can't give me whatever. you
We're
can.
all on your side, you're winning.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Everything.
okay,
Okay.
kind of threw us on that one. Okay, so do you want to add in the pylon
Yeah,
sign?
just a comment that the pylon, the existing pylon.
Pylon sign is
is
permitted. Okay. Okay,
Stephanie?
Mr. Norfolk?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rosetti?
yes.
Ms. Romano?
Yes.
Mr. Travers?
Yes. You're all set?
Okay.
Check with Stephanie and details.
And some discount on the Saugus in first month. First 2 days, I'm not gonna charge nothing for the testing. Thank you so much. And it's on
Make
olive oil.
make sure you send an invitation to this
Of
store
course,
too.
I'm gonna bring the olive oil from Italy. This is gonna be great.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay,
I wait there.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
And my Istanbul diner in VBS, one of the best flavors. VBS best.
Oh, you got,
Okay. I
he
guess-
thought if he wasn't gonna get his other sign,
Yeah,
when I said you couldn't see it anyway.
okay.
On the petition of 320 Revere Beach Parkway LLC, owners of property at 409 Linfells Parkway, lot number 57, plan number 1036, seeking special permit to the building inspector, appeal to the building inspector to change its current non-conforming use from retail floral in a residential zone to retail suit tuxedo sales rental with related floral sale in a residential zone. And the petitioner or his representative there, if you can give your name and address, Stephanie?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Jeffrey Rosario Turco, 378 Broadway, Chelsea, Massachusetts.
On your way out, maybe
And I'll
give her a
you business
card.
card as well, yes. Okay.
All right. This hearing was continued at a colleague here for you.
Yes.
And for Mr. Vasapoli to enter, to give us an opinion on what he thought. I don't know if you'd like to start off with what you want to do, or you want me to read that opinion first, or?
Whatever your pleasure is, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think we should probably read it first as soon as I can find it. Yeah, what I do, I got it in this.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit lengthy, so bear with me. I'm gonna read it in full. It's from, to the Board of Appeals from John Vestful regarding this property. Dear board members, I've requested to provide a legal opinion as to the above referenced special permit application which seeks approval of what the petitioner describes in its application as a change in its current non-conforming use retail floral business to a residential zone to a retail suit tuxedo sales rental with related floral sales in a residential zone. For the reason explained below, my legal opinion is that the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence for the board to conclude that the florist shop use of the property is a lawful pre-existing non-conforming use of the land. Moreover, the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence for the board to conclude that the use of the property as a florist shop, regardless of its legal status, has not been abandoned. Therefore, without further evidence from the petitioner on both of these points, I recommend that the board deny the petitioner's application. Then it goes on to say the legal protection of non-conforming uses. I don't know if at this point we have to read through the rest of it. I think that's the gist of what you need to address.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to point out I have Maria Russo with me, who's
Okay.
the principal of the LLC that owns the
Sure.
property. So first, in terms of the prior non-conforming use, or pre-existing non-conforming use, this property has been used since 1944, 1945 as a florist. I have evidence that I'll submit. One of the reasons that, as you know, as a board, petitioners don't submit their entire case in the application before the board. If they did, there would be no need for a hearing. And so the reason some of the stuff that town council sort of said, well, why, if this isn't included in the petition, well, that's why you have a public hearing, so you can present that evidence. And so, just so there's no dispute about the use of the property as a prior non-conforming use, and I can submit this to the board now or after, I have the obituary of Margaret Rainey Petrie from August 12, 2021. And in that, she talks about 1946, where Joseph and Irene established Petrie's Florist and Greenhouse on Linfels Parkway. I have two advertisements from the Boston Globe, May 29th of 1948 and May 28th of 1948. J.T. Petrie Florist, 409 Linfels Parkway, Saugus, Massachusetts, in the rear of the open air theater, geraniums, pans, and baskets. And then the one on May 29th refers to the same thing, open air baskets, advertisements from the Boston Globe. Also have Petrie Florists from I went on their website on Facebook, and they talk about that they've been serving the people of Saugus in the greater Boston area since 1944. And interesting enough, the petition that was submitted to the board by the abutters objecting to the use of the property specifically refers to, in paragraph 2, some of our grandfathers, uncles, and husbands were the purchasers of vacant land and the first builders of the neighborhood in the 1940s when Petrie Florists first came into existence. The board in the 1950s, there was a Mr. Rossetti, I'm not sure if he's a family member, there was a Mr. Rossetti that was on the board in the 1950s that granted special permits for the use of, for the sale of floral on the property. There was 3 variances granted starting 1986, I believe 1996, 1995 and 1998, all of which definitively state by this board and your predecessors on the board that this property is in fact a prior non-conforming use. Under Chapter 48, Section 7 of the general laws, that discussion's over. Nobody appealed those decisions. and challenge those decisions, saying, hey, the board didn't have sufficient evidence. Chapter 48, Section 7 makes crystal clear that if abutters are aware of a decision of the board and they're aggrieved by that decision, so for example, an abutter says, well, I disagree with the determination that they're prior non-conforming use, they had a duty to bring that matter to the land court. If they sit on their rights, after 10 years, they lose their rights. Those rights are clearly extinguished. Case law is crystal clear on that. And I'm sure Mr. Vasapoli, if we had an opportunity to have that discussion in advance, would be aware of that. So I think with respect to the prior non-conforming use, I'm happy to submit these as exhibits to the board. I can move to the secretary afterwards if you think it would be helpful. Then the second issue he raised was, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, because I don't have the luxury of the letter. The first thing he wanted us to do was offer evidence to the board that we were a prior non-conforming use.
Can you give me a copy, Peter?
I think.
No, I'll find mine.
Sorry.
Kind of lengthy.
So the first thing he asked was that we present evidence of a prior non-conforming use. I think we've done that. I think the fact that this board, again, in the 1950s on 2 occasions, recognized the property as a non-conforming use. I think the fact that the board did it 3 times since the mid-1980s, I think that definitively resolves the fact that this is a prior non-conforming use operating as a special permit. Those special permits in the 1980s and the 1990s dealt with issues of, at one point they moved the whole structure of the building was moved forward closer to the street. At one point, one of the variances, I think in 1998, was to raise the roof line so that it would be consistent across the property instead of having a staggered roof line. Prior to that, I think it was, I don't know if it was Mrs. Petrie or one of the owners, was living in a house behind the building where the greenhouse was attached, and she sought permission to, because of her health, to be able to move into the commercial building upstairs. And the board granted that as well. All under the auspices of this was a prior non-conforming use, and the board was looking at whether what was requested was substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Those were the standards. That's what the board ruled on, again, on 5 occasions, twice in the 50s, 3 times since 1985. So I really think as a matter of law, that's black letter law that it's settled, that can't be challenged. The next thing was the petitioner has not provided sufficient evidence to conclude that the use as a florist has not been abandoned. We have a detailed timeline which we're happy to present. First, Mr. Vasapoli may not have been aware when he wrote his letter that my client sought and received a business certificate from the town of Saugus. And that business certificate is still valid and active to this day. Excuse me. That business certificate here, issued by the town of Saugus, is a copy of it, was issued on November 10th, 2022. 1 year after my client bought the property in November of 2021. This is, by itself, is evidence. The abandonment standard under the statute, under the case law, says the owner has to demonstrate an intention to abandon the use. It is crystal clear that an owner who goes and applies for a business license to be able to operate, an owner that then goes to the town and applies for a special permit, Mrs. Russo with the prior council filed in September of 2023 a special permit application with the town of Saugus. After that was accepted, about a week later, that was sent back to her with no explanation why it was not processed, why it was rejected as an application. I think that in and of itself was a mistake on behalf of the town of Saugus. They should have either A, said, here's why we can't accept your petition, or B, we're gonna have a hearing and we'll deny it if it's improper, or we'll grant it if it's proper. I got involved in this, I believe it was in November. Back in September, they said, September of 2023, they said, we need, Ms. Russo needed a parking plan. So she contracted with Odie and Dwyer, had a parking plan put together that was issued in October of 23. At some point she switched councils, got me involved. In November of 2023, just last year, we turned around and we started the process. We reached out to the building commissioner, and they said you have to apply for an S2 permit before the Board of Selectmen. You don't go to the zoning Board of Appeals. Thought it was kind of odd, but I said, hey, he's the boss, we'll follow that process. We did, we filed that. We ordered the abutters list, we filed with the town, we paid for the advertisements in the local newspaper, And then after the first advertisement went in the paper, I got a phone call saying, counsel, we gave you bad information, I'm sorry. You really should withdraw your petition before the Board of Selectmen. It's not up to the board to do this, you have to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals. I said, no problem, I'm happy to do that. So we refiled, and that's what's ultimately brought us here. My apologies to the board that I wasn't here at the last meeting when it was scheduled. I was on a pre-planned trip with my 15-year-old son overseas. So that's why Attorney Cipolletta covered. It was well worth the trip. So that's where we're at. In terms of abandonment, I think the evidence of a permit, we also have today, in terms of, Mr. Vassapoli sort of quickly saw, he said something about, he saw something on Google that suggested when the business ended. And, you know, when I hear that, I'm always reminded of, there's a great quote that's always on the internet, you see once in a while, it says, don't believe everything you read on the internet, Abraham Lincoln, 1865. And I think this is a classic case of, you know, because what's on Google is not the law, it's not the facts. I have from December 5th, 2021, a post on Yelp praising Petrie Florists for the work that they do and that they did at the site. On November 1st, 2021, I couldn't get this because it's on video on Facebook, but if you go to the Petrie Florists website on Facebook and you look at November 1st, 2021, they clearly show that they're using, there's a video about a minute and a half, and you see people using Petrie Florists and selling flowers. So that's sort of the beginning of the operative period. We also have a letter from a florist that did work with Ms. Russo at various points, particularly in May of 2023. That person has submitted a letter saying, I used the florist in May of 23 at that site. She's a florist from Winthrop that brought her business and did work over a period of time during the month of May of 2023. She provided a letter. If the board wants, we can submit an affidavit rather than simply the letter, showing that the use has been going on. I think that's sort of the crux of those two issues. I'm happy to answer questions from the board.
Well, I have, my first issue is not so, put it to the side right now, the time period of the 2 years worth of use and such. The building inspector from the beginning, and I believe that Mr. Vassapoli, in his opinion letter, says that it can only be used as a florist. And that doesn't seem, you don't seem to address that.
Well, I was addressing the preliminary issues first.
Okay.
You know, with
All right.
respect to our petition, which is to change it from retail florist to retail tuxedo with florist.
And he's saying that's not allowed.
He's saying that's not allowed because this is a residential zone and you're not allowed to do that, but that's the whole point of the non-conforming use statute, and that's the whole point of the non-conforming use law. The question under the statute is, in the case law, I think is quite clear in this. The question is the use substantially more detrimental than what you're currently doing? And so now you turn and look and you say, okay, retail florist serving the community all year round. I have a breakdown of their hours. You know, they were 7 days a week, 8:30 to 6:30, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, they were 8 to 7. Saturday, they were 10 to 6, and Sunday, they were 9 to 3. The hours, as we put in our petition, are far less than that. Russo's Tux is truly a seasonal business, as you can imagine. It's all year round, but truly seasonal in terms of when they're really busy. And so, in terms of whether it's substantially more detrimental, just based on the hours themselves, there'll be I think we said in our petition, there'll be 35 hours a week is when the place will be open. It's a family-owned business. The family will be there, 1 or 2 other people that are not family during the high time. And then the other thing I would say to you is, if you look at your special permit provisions, I think it's on page 114 of your zoning bylaw from 2023, there's a whole section about highway business district, and it breaks down and talks about special permits. And what it does is...
Is this in the highway business district?
No, it's obviously next over. I pointed out because I think that when you're looking at whether the use as a retail florist in a retail tux are similar enough to say that they're not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, you look at what you've done in your zoning ordinance. And in your zoning ordinance, they specifically group uses. And under, I think it's provision number 2, let me just grab it so I don't misquote it. sorry, it's page 118. So on page 118, under number 2, retail restaurant-related uses as listed above, it then breaks out what those uses are in that zone, 4 special permits. And if you look at the grouping for group 2A, retail commercial sales excluding drive-through facilities, offering dry goods, variety merchandise, clothing, groceries, baked goods, beverages, flowers, plants, drugs, etc. And then you go through and you look at B, talks about personal service businesses, including but not limited to barber shops, hairdressers, shoe repair, tailor, dry cleaning, restaurants and other food, beverages. What I would suggest to you is that a tuck shop, the fact that the people of the town, through their elected officials, grouped clothing in with flowers and plants, demonstrates that those uses are very similar. And so then, that's why when I've been saying all along with talks with town officials, retail is retail for purposes of what we've proposed. And so then what I would say to you is, if you draw that corollary to that section of, again, it's not totally applicable, but it's by sort of demonstration of consistency within your own rules. Now we look at case law. There's one of the cases where the court said, is the use similar enough? And so I'll give you one where the court said it was, one where the court said it wasn't. And so it was a prior non-conforming use, and somebody owned a gas station where they also sold new and used cars. And at some point they changed to a repair shop. And the town approved it, the neighbors sued, and the court said a repair shop is substantially different than a gas station that sells cars. And so you can't do that. It's too much of an expansion of non-conforming use. But what I would say here is, there's a second case, which is a Massachusetts Appeals Court case, which I can give you the site to, that says a convenience store that chooses to go, and this to me is I was shocked by the decision, but a convenience store that seeks a beer and wine license from their local licensing commission is granted it, and then is gonna sell beer and wine along with its convenience store. The Massachusetts Appeals Court upheld the decision of the zoning board saying that those uses are so similar, the selling of alcohol and the selling of convenience store product, that's allowed. It's not a substantial change. And what I would say to you is, renting tuxedos during a limited period of time on the property is not substantially more detrimental to the sale of flowers on the property. And so I recognize, and my client recognizes, that anytime you're dealing with nonconformity, I heard it, I was here for the earlier hearings, heard it when people are upset, why does the board grant nonconforming uses? But this is exactly why we have independent boards. This is exactly why you're not held accountable to the political class, so that you can make an informed decision based on what you know the law to be. And then you can look at it and say, do we believe that the evidence before us is sufficient to allow this? If everyone could wave a wand and go back 80 years, you might not have allowed Petrie floors to be there, but it's been there. And the question is it better to the neighborhood, or is it substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood to have Russo Tucks open 35 hours a week renting tuxes and selling corsages and boutonnieres, or having another Petrie florist open 7 days a week for the hours that I've just demonstrated? And I think I would urge the board to look at all of those factors and say that you can't make a conclusion that it's substantially more detrimental. It's not, is it more detrimental? It's substantially more detrimental. Now, in the petition of the abutters, they talked about the variance standard. We're not here on a variance, we're here on a special permit. So the only issue is, have we proven that we're a non-conforming use? And if we have, which I think your records are replete with evidence of that, we resolve the issue of abandonment, and then the next question is what we're proposing substantially more detrimental? I'm happy to take questions. And with your permission, I'll submit these after to your secretary.
Any questions from the board?
So you're saying substantially more detrimental as opposed to just whether it's detrimental or not?
Yes, that's black letter law in the Commonwealth. It's been that way for 80 years.
Okay. Okay.
And I think you've cited to that earlier, during one of your earlier decisions when you were reading through. We make it, on the special permit, we make a determination that it's not substantially more detrimental. That's the standard. And again, those words all mean something as a matter of law.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, could I just make one more?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
If you look at the, and I think I may have submitted them, but if not, I can submit them to you. If you look at the zoning board decisions granting the special permits in 85, 95, and 98, they all confirm exactly what I've told you. We find that this is not substantially more detrimental. The 1986 one, I'm sorry, says florist business, quote, most of the business devoted to the sale of plants and materials they grow themselves in a greenhouse in addition to flowers and other plants they bring from the outside, quote, not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconformity. The 1995 one, again, just acknowledges the prior nonconforming use. 1998, quote, not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconformity. That's the test. You know, and I would, again, I understand that we all get afraid, we all get nervous about what comes next. You know, if I'm in a butter, I say, hey, we're in a nice residential neighborhood, but it, you know, I live in Winthrop. I live next to Logan Airport. I listen to the planes every day. And I hear my neighbors complain about the planes. They say, I bought a house next to an airport. I'm gonna hear planes. You know, this has been a commercial property in a residential zone since 1944 and 1945. Undisputed. The abutters that filed their objection put it in writing. They agree that it's been a non-conforming use since 1944 or 45. Thank you.
Any questions again from the board before we move to the audience?
Mr. Chairman, in the Gaynor decision, which was, what was the date? The variance was denied, and it was denied on the basis that that it was more detrimental. So relief cannot be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying it. This is the Gaynor one, which was November 2003.
Right, and I think if you read if they'll go through in that case, and they'll talk, I don't remember the specific case off the top of my head, but if you go through and you read it, it'll talk about what the test is. And again, it says, is it substantially more detrimental? So when the court's concluding, when the board's concluding the opposite, saying, well, or if the court says, well, you know, we haven't found, you know, I forgot the exact language you just quoted, but they use the word substantially detrimental in that decision. So I would just urge you, in the case I was citing to on the, earlier the appeals court case was 89 Mass Appellate Court 241, and that's Almeida versus Arruda, and that's the case where they added in the liquor, the sale of the liquor, beer and wine, not hard liquor, because the court did make a distinction that there was a case where the court said selling of hard liquor is substantially more detrimental to a neighborhood than the sale of beer and wine when it comes to a convenience store. So it's, you know, so the court, I mean, some of these, you're really drawing fine lines on what's different. There's one case where they talked about it was a hotel that was seasonal, that wanted to non-conforming use, wanted to switch to all year round. The court said that was okay. There was another case where there's a hotel that had commercial on the first floor, and then they wanted to basically become a nightclub, and the court said, no, that's substantially different. You know, and so that's why I cited to page 118 of your zoning bylaws, where the fact that, I think it's telling that the town grouped together clothing and flowers and plants.
Okay, I had made the substitute motion back in 2003 on the flag issue, when they were looking for a variance for flags. And they were looking for a variance for 20-some-odd flags or 30 flags. And we allowed one, and that did not pass at the time. And the reason was that it was substantially more detrimental, so I'm just questioning whether this is more detrimental at this point.
And that's something, I mean, I could talk to you about all night why I think it's not, but I mean, ultimately, each of you have to use your independent judgment to determine, do you, I mean, you know, to me, it goes back to the whole, you know, widgets. You know, what are you selling? We're selling widgets, you know, whether I sell you flowers or I sell you, rent you a tux. I'm doing the offense to the neighbors is that a commercial business is in their residential neighborhood. That's gonna happen no matter what, because whether it's a florist or whether it's a tuck shop, it's gonna happen. The question is, do you want a florist that's 70 or 80 hours a week, as is currently allowed, or do you want something that's 35 hours a week, that's more seasonal? You know, and I think, again, it's not what the neighbors want, is it substantially more detrimental? Thank you.
Do you wanna mention about Stephanie? Or do you wanna-
Before we take any vote, I just want to make sure the petitioner realized that Ms. Romano was not here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was not here for the first meeting. We didn't get that deep, but she's made familiarized herself with everything. So as long as you feel comfortable, we'll go along with the full board with her.
Right, my understanding is the
I
first
should have
meeting
mentioned
was
that.
continued right
Yeah,
away.
we-
So it
pretty
never really
much.
got open the hearing, so we're fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I wanna be clear, I don't know you from a hole in the wall, so I don't.
Yeah.
it's-
And the other thing I just want to mention, if anyone goes to leave or at the conclusion of the evening, make sure you go out this door. The library is now closed.
Okay.
So you gotta go out this door over here, not through the library, okay? Now we're gonna open it up to comments of the audience.
Do you want me to move so they can stand here, or do they stand there?
If you like, go to the podium.
Where do you want me to go?
Yes, you're gonna come.
No, leave my laptop there.
So substantially detrimental means a lot of things. As far as, you kind of dumb down what they're gonna do. They're just gonna rent out a couple tuxes and, have some corsages. I don't think so. There's a lot more of retail that goes along with that. You talked about parking. They're gonna be putting in parking. There's gonna be a lot more cars. What about the limousines? The limousines gonna be parked there? We don't know about that, and if they're not tomorrow, they might be the next day. You're not gonna be able to control that. It's going to be extremely detrimental to our neighborhood, our residential neighborhood. And yes, it has gone back to the 40s. That was my grandfather and my uncle and my dad that I was talking about. And it went through because Mr. Petrie had a problem. He was a veteran, and it was granted for the Petries. And it was said that it would always be floral, or if it were abandoned. I can't say how abandonment is not selling flowers for 2 years. So someone came in from Winthrop and sold a few flowers, and that's okay? That puts it back on the timeline again? I don't think so. I don't really think that's in the spirit of the law. It has been abandoned, except for someone living there who has been living there for quite a while. And he's still living there. And then you brought up family, so I would like to address that. Talk about detrimental. I was actually advised by an investigative reporter to go to the police and report threats and abuse to us by the family. I would never bring up family, never bring up personal things, but I don't want this family working there. I'm afraid of the way they spoke. I'm afraid, I see the way they treated the people that were going to see the lights. F word is just like saying the and because in their language. Mrs. Russo said, if I don't get this, actual threat, if I don't get this, then I'm gonna rent it out to bands that are gonna play top volume to annoy the neighbors. You brought up family. Is this the kind of family that I want there? Absolutely not. I know that's not the law, but he brought it up and I'm just addressing it. talk about detriment. That's detrimental to me. And I will go to the police and I will go on record. And how about the intersection? We were at Breakheart talking to people that had gone up to the Casabooski and walked up at Breakheart. People were appalled thinking that this would happen. That intersection is so bad as it is now. And you're gonna put a parking lot with more cars, with, all kinds of people coming and going. It's not like mom and pop flower shop. It's not like mom and pop flower shop at all. It's not the same, at all. So I just wanna go on record saying.
Could you make sure that
extremely-
Stephanie has your name and address?
Yes. Candace Volker, 364 Linfield Parkway. I looked directly at it, at the place.
Thank you.
And that's why all the things were put in the original letter about the filth, about the sloppiness, about the loud music. So that's not gonna continue when they're granted this? I don't trust it at all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to, like, when sort of questions are asked, do you want to respond, or do you want to wait and take a list and answer them after?
Well, it's our turn.
That's why I want to be respectful of the residents.
Why don't we hear them out and then you can have a chance
Thank you.
to rebut what they say.
I mean,
Mrs.
I'm sorry, it's gonna take a little bit of a
You
time to
take
get
your
over here,
time
but,
and give your name to Stephanie and your address.
Okay, yeah. My name is Jacqueline Kitty, and I live at 158 Forest Street, which is in view of the property. I'm in a butter. And some of the concerns that you were mentioning as a butters are not things that necessarily that we brought up. However, I have lived at that property since, and I said this last time, I joked about it. Now you all know how old I am, but I know knew the Petries personally. Played with the children that grew up with me, knew the family, knew the business. They took pride in the small little floral shop that sat there over a brook. Right now, we talk, the word seems to be popular as detrimental. Well, the law is for the good of the people and for the town of Saugus. What is it gonna do, not necessarily to just to the abutters, to all the families that live there? What is it going to do substantial good things for our town to jeopardize the feelings of the people that live in the area? We're trying to protect. There's another letter that we have to present that has been signed by many of the residents of Saugus, not just the area, that's talking about the preservation of the, I don't have it in front of me, Candy, if you can, the law number, preservation of keeping our residential areas intact instead of infringements from businesses that are coming in from town. Now, you went back to talk about the history of the property. Well, the reason why there weren't complaints, there was nothing around other than the movie theater. Our family built all those homes, and so there was nothing around to be complaining about. There was an apple orchard, there was a field where Target is today. So there wasn't really anything except a small shop that was very small and had a little bit of business. So we weren't complaining back in those days. That's why there isn't anything on record as far as, because there weren't homes for people that can, I live in the original home that was put on the property, that was there and is a historic one in Saugus. So detrimental is a very serious word. It might not be detrimental to people that don't live there or don't, see the lights, but there are some real concerns about what does this really mean. Non-conforming, and you grouped them together as you were talking about the similarities between floral and a tuck shop, but you also gave another list, a restaurant and something, and a few other things. So does that mean that if anybody wants to put in something next to a house that's being built, they can choose from that list and all of a sudden becomes a non-conforming use? So it's not that. We want to preserve what's there. We have a shopping center right next door, and we're losing lots of those businesses. But it's separate. It's separate from the families that live there, the people that were raised at home. That neighborhood has been an important neighborhood in this town. And people have been proud of their homes. People are buying homes in there because some of the old families have moved out and moved on. Now people are building new moving into those homes, and they're hearing, what? We're gonna have a business now at the end of our street? And the traffic is one of the major issues. I just wanna look at my paper, because laws are meant for protection too, and it's protection of property and the families. And Mr. Petrie, not Petrie, it's Petrie, was a disabled vet and was given very specific permission because he had to support his family, and he was disabled, and that's why they made the original one non-conforming use back in the 40s. But what, when you say floral, the notice that we got had a little phrase tucked in there, floral related with the tux. Well, what is floral related? Floral related could mean anything. It could be sale of Christmas trees, it could be sympathy things for funerals, it can be corsages, which might be somewhat related to the business, but it also could mean, because it's very vague, could also mean cannabis, could also mean a pack of fertilizer that's piled up on the property, could mean many different things. That's very vague, and I think it doesn't even make sense to be just putting that in there without more specifics. It also, the traffic is now a major issue. Coming down Forest Street from Breakout Reservation, you can't get out. We brought this concern up when they were just talking, we went before the Conservation Commission because as abutters, they asked us to talk about, they're gonna pave the Fellsway. So we were there and talking about that and what the issues were. But there's also all these other concerns. There are environmental issues. It sits on top of a brook that is getting higher and higher each day. Conservation Commission has looked at it and thought there was a big concern way back. I don't have the dates with that, and most of probably the board of members might know the exact times. So environmental, traffic issues. So are they gonna put lights on these buildings that are gonna shine? Are they gonna be within reason? Or are they gonna infringe on the neighborhood? Right now, in our neighborhood, and most people know where it is, you look across the street, and across Route 1, you can see the sign at 4 o'clock in the morning of AutoZone, or whatever the one they put into Barnes and Nobles. It might not be AutoZone, but we can see that car. So what is the lights gonna be from a business that's left on during the evening? So it's really a detriment to this neighborhood. We're not preserving it. The people of Saugus use this area, and it's not, does Saugus have a major issue to have a tuck shop there? It's not so much the tuck shop, it's the fact that it's gonna change the whole dynamics of that area. The whole dynamics of a retail store. Go online and pull up if you talk about going online, look at the size of the business. They advertise, they're self-proclaimed, and they're advertising. We are the biggest stock, we have the biggest stock for New England. So that's not a small little business. That's a good sized business. And what is the business plan? You're going up, if you're gonna do it in the same plot plan, or are you gonna stay within that or are you gonna have an encroachment? What about limos? You have limos on the property right now. There's not on that particular property. You have limos that are associated with tucks. Do we want to see a limo in the driveway? 2 stretch limos, I think you own. So there's many different detriments. We don't want to change that neighborhood. We want to keep it. We want to preserve it. You know, and it's not a small business. If you're talking about non-conforming, and you can't say it wasn't abandoned because they were advertising on, you know, websites. They abandoned the property. Business happens. They didn't go there to build, to do floral work for the website. And that is the second owner of Peachtree. You just kept their name. That wasn't even the Peachtree family. So there are, you know, there are many, many different concerns, you know, as far as, you know, different things. And the brook is a flood area. That, I think that is very, so. How does it benefit Saugus? If you talk about detriments and detriments, I want to hear how putting that shop there, a tuxedo store with a small floral-related business, how is that a benefit? That's an asset, an advantage to having Saugus. So, I mean, you know, I have a couple of things. I know there's other people, and I'm passionate. As I said, this area has been important to the family. You talk about family, because our family did build those homes along the Fellsway and up into its Braycott. And so we care. We care about our neighbors, we care about protecting it, we care about not overdoing business. You know, I know it's important for Saugus to have businesses, it's important for Saugus to have new businesses. But as you look around, all these other buildings and things are closing down, so why does it need a new business like that, like they were describing with the tuxedo place? Why does it need to be in that particular place? I asked that question our last meeting. And can I ask if the board read our letter that we submitted the last time? Because it wasn't read publicly at the meeting.
I think you kind of asked us not to read it publicly.
Pardon me?
You were kind of requested not to read it publicly.
Right, okay, but I mean, I'm asking.
But we all got copies.
Yeah, we all got it.
And we all read it.
Okay, because we do have another letter that needs to be submitted in it, and I will trust that someone will do that. So I'm asking the board really to pay attention to really what is detrimental and what is preservation of well-being for the families that live there, well-being for the visitors that go to Braycott, well-being for the people that have to go through the traffic there, and well-being of preserving the important neighborhoods, because Saugus is the dynamics are changing greatly, and if we can do anything to protect what's important to us, and it's not just, as I said, the abutters. It's many people. There are people here that we've talked to across Saugus that say, what? What are they crazy? They want to put something in there like that? There's already these challenges. So I have issues, I know other people have issues, and I'm sorry to talk so long, but I am passionate. And for me, and I know most of my neighbors are saying the same thing. So thank you for listening to me, and I'm going to pass it over because I know there's a few other people that are saying important things also.
Anyone else?
One quick question from here, if I may.
Let me, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. Mike Sereno, 54 Gates Road. A lot of the neighbors had called me and asked me to come here tonight and to support the neighborhood. As we all know, the land is zoned single-family residential, 31,000 square foot lot. Our zoning bylaws allow greenhouses, nurseries, and agricultural in with an S2 permit from the board in a residential area. I believe Salt Marsh on Lincoln Ave is one example of that. Other retail stores are not allowed in a residential area. I think precedent has been set over 50 years for the flower shop, rightfully so. Another thing is retail stores are listed as a principal use, and that's why they're not allowed in a residential family lot. The property was sold in November of '21.
I know the attorney, Turco, had said she filed for a business certificate in November 2022. However, it's 2024 now, and that store has not been open for the sale of retail flowers. To sell something online, flowers online, is not selling flowers in a retail store, so I certainly don't buy that argument. The things have been, it has been abandoned for over 2 years. And then finally, to the detrimental use, any type of retail business over there on that lot, at that intersection, will be more detrimental to the neighborhood. Thank you.
He asked my question.
Sir,
No, it's all said. Took care of it.
he answered it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll be brief.
Make sure you give Stephanie your
Absolutely.
name and number.
Hi, my name is Carl Volker. I live at 364 Linfels Park. My wife is already up here. I think, you know, there's valid arguments. I mean, I'm not gonna school you like Mr. Turco did on the law and all that. I mean, I read the bylaws. I'm a simple kind of person, you know. It basically says a property has been used for 2 years. It should go back to non-conforming. Yes, we've lived with a flower shop, and if that's what goes in there, so be it. But I don't think a tuxedo shop should go in there. They haven't used it. They haven't shown that they're good neighbors. I don't believe that, you know, there's any hardship to them. I know Mr. Cogliano came up to me after the meeting, after the husband, Mr. Chiapp, and her son started swearing.
Mr. Cogliano's not here, so you don't need to address
It does bother me, because, you know, he came at me to defend it, and it's like, I'm a resident of Saugus. So all I just wanna do is, you know, Mr. Turcot says, you know, they sold flowers in 2023, and he's got an affidavit to show it. I mean, he should prove that, because that's not the case. They haven't been there. I get what you're trying to do, to say that we've done it and we should keep it. You know, if it ends up that it has to be a flower shop, so be it. I get it. You know, but you know, the husband there told me, he says, you know, if I don't get my tuck shop, I'm going to put the biggest flower shop that I can right there and get in your face. So yes, I am. I mean, that was after the meeting last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. So yes, I'm pretty riled up about that. And I don't think there was any need to threaten. I don't know why, if that's why the Saugus cop is here, because they came at me after that meeting. So if you're asking me, I don't want that family there, because there's a problem with that. You know, maybe it's because, you know, he just wanted to come to the meeting. I don't know. But I think, you know, it's non-conforming use, and it's, you know, at worst case scenario, keep it a flower shop, but the tuxedos, because you're right, you put that there and you allow that, then you know, could they have tuxedos? Yeah, they're gonna have to put a parking lot in there. And then I've already got draining problems. I got my hose out like almost all year round. I don't really want that. I don't think any of the neighbors want that. And it's not that it's a tuxedo shop, it's not the Russos that I care about, but it's like, that's our neighborhood, you know? Nobody's used it for 2 years except for the person living there. So, you know, I don't see why we would change it. You go down Route 1. I live on Route 1, you know? There are plenty of retail commercial opportunities that somebody could have bought it. I understand they bought the property, but they bought it knowing full well. And I think they might have got some wrong guidance on that. Maybe there was a shoe-in, and I hope that's not the case. But, I mean, I was listening earlier. It's like, we're splitting hairs about the chicken and more sign of how, you know, and that's on Route 1, with all these bright lights. This is a neighborhood, so it's like, why can't we just keep it a neighborhood and residential? That's all I'm asking. I read it in the bylaws. I'm not a lawyer, you know. I don't claim to be, but I just think, I would hope the board would consider the residents and not just the commercial business in this case. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Give your name and number for Stephanie.
Katrina Barabee, 14 Glen Road, Town Meeting, Precinct 9. Just a quick point I want to emphasize, I know you know. He mentioned being consistent with, you know, our own guidance, and he gave a list of appropriate retail uses. That's for a highway business district overlay zone that this is not a part of. This is residential. Right. So I know you know that, but I think that's a huge distinction that has nothing to do with this property. So,
Agreed.
Anyone else in the audience? I want to make sure that everyone gets heard that wants to speak. none. What's the,
Can I just add one more thing, just very briefly?
certainly,
This is a dangerous precedent, I think, for Saugus, if it was approved, because I think then everybody will come to you to ask for non-conforming use and to change certain things. So I think we also have to think about it in a broader sense. Thank you.
anyone else with anything else to say? Miss,
I just have
Yes.
one, the letter that we're going to submit.
okay, you wanna submit that now?
I will, can I just read the last sentence?
Go ahead. Sure.
It says, "We sincerely hope this board considers our concerns and returns this lot to a conforming use." Quoting section 9.1 of the Saugus zoning bylaws. Quote, "The provisions of this article apply to non-conforming uses, structures, and lots. It is the purpose of this bylaw to discourage the perpetuity of non-conforming uses whenever possible." Thank you.
And that's signed by many people.
Yeah, we have, so we have a lot of different people had different, so signatures here, the signatures here. Signatures there, so these are all different. I mean, they're the same letter, but different
Yeah.
signatures.
Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Norton?
Oh, I just want to,
Yes.
what would, if you didn't want the tux going there, what would you want going there?
Well, I think it should go back to residential, or, as my husband said, and, I mean, we knew we were living near a flower shop.
Okay.
That's, whatever, that's fine. Whatever. We were there for, as Mr. Rossetti said, the flag thing,
Right.
and they did it for like a few days. He started flying the flags again. We were there for the the fence, the chain link fence, wasn't supposed to be put up. They put it up anyways, nothing happened. Those two structures that are there beside there, those were never permitted. They put them up anyways.
Who?
It must have been, it had to have been the
Probably the
owners,
prior
the
owners.
Petries.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah,
probably,
previous.
But they weren't
No,
previous.
previous, the owners, the Petries.
The Gould?
Or whoever applied for.
whoever bought it from the Petries and kept the name.
Whoever,
Probably
whoever
did.
started with the flag thing. So
Yeah, that
we've
wasn't
been
the
like,
Petrie
it's been crazy for a long time, and we're just trying to stop the madness and just
Yeah,
let it
that's the
be
law
as
right
it
here.
always was, a little mom and pop flower shop. We can deal with that in a residential neighborhood.
I just want to comment on a personal matter, and just the fact that I grew up off the Fellsway. Donna Petrie was my babysitter when I was a kid. A lot of the names down there, I recognize them, they were on my paper route, okay? So it's not as if I don't have any compassion for neighbors and to know what this neighborhood is. I mean, I don't think my family didn't buy flowers anywhere else, as long as the Petries ran that shop. So I represented that area in town meeting many years ago. So it's not that I don't have compassion for it. Mr. Rossetti served on different decisions, you'll see his name and his father's names. So it's just a matter of what the law is, what it allows. It's not, it's a tough one. It's just not easy, it's not easily cut and dry. I did tell Mr. Turco that I give him an opportunity to rebut some of your things, and I'm gonna let him.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. I know it's getting
Yep.
late and respectful to the public as well. Just disclosure, I lived at 15 Lorraine Road for a few years,
Okay.
in my teen years, so I used to go walk over there as well to the.
Okay.
So, didn't have a girlfriend at the time, so I didn't buy it, I bought it for my mother. So, but I lived there for 3 or 4 years, at Lorraine Road, 15 Lorraine. The question, a bunch of questions are raised. Could we add limos there? It's not part of the petition, it's not allowed. You can't do it. It's sort of, I can't come up and say to you, okay, we're not gonna build a A pot shop, you know your zoning ordinances are crystal clear, the law of the Commonwealth is crystal clear. We have very stringent regulations for where pot shops can go. There's no suggestion at all that we're looking to put a pot shop there. There's no suggestion at all we're putting limos there. I have every confidence that if a limo were there, that you'd quickly see the building commissioner come and issue a cease and desist order, which would be his or her right to do that. So there's simply no, it's not something that's before you. In terms of parking, we've got an updated parking plan simply to we're not redoing the parking lot. It's to show you what's there now so that there's no dispute, hey, there is parking in front of the property. I have that, I'll submit that as well. In terms of the floral use, what specifically would be done, assuming this were granted to do tuxes, that they would rent tuxes and they would also do boutonnieres and corsages. That would be and you could restrict it to that, because that's the sole
That's not a floral shop.
Well, that would be, what we're looking to do.
So you really are opening a tuck shop. That's all, really, except in selling boutonnieres.
It would be.
Retail clothing business, say it.
No, it's not retail clothing, it's a tuck shop.
It says that.
It's a tuck shop that would do boutonnieres and corsages, which are consistent with that business, and consistent with the floral thing. Traffic, we all talk about traffic. The simple reality is, using it in its current capacity as a florist florist versus tux doesn't have any effect on traffic, doesn't have any change on the traffic, other than sort of.
Yes, it does, we live there.
It's not a debate. Not a debate. Not a debate.
When you cut the number of hours by roughly half, if anything, I would suggest to you that traffic will go down.
What about all the teenage kids driving their cars fast?
The next question was asked about what are we gonna do? Are we gonna expand the building? You know, and the public should know, that we cannot, as a matter of law, expand the building unless we came before the board with a separate petition, and asked to expand an existing non-conforming use, which is what happened in 1998 when they extended the ridge line, or the roof line. And so I have every confidence that if the board were to grant the tuck shop, my client takes, she can see the reaction of the public. It's gonna take a long time to show the neighbors that they are good neighbors, and that this isn't the parade of horribles that anytime there's something new, people naturally fear the new. And so, once they're there and they show, hey, we're not looking to destroy your neighborhood, we want to be a part of the community and part of the neighborhood. They do a lot of work with Saugus High School and kids over there.
They proved otherwise.
So, and then, really what you've heard tonight is not an argument against the tuck shop. What you've heard is an argument against the prior non-conforming use of a commercial, with the exception of Mr. Volker, who said, I'd rather see a florist shop there. But in essence, you've heard, we want to go back to residential, and I think the evidence demonstrates that the property has been this non-conforming use, and they don't have to agree with the evidence that we put forward, and as I said, I have the letter from the florist confirming it. The fact that she went and got a building permit, a business certificate, the fact that she went with a prior attorney in September of 2023, the fact that she then went in October of 23 and got a revised parking plan to show what the parking was, the fact that we went and filed in December of 23, the fact that we filed again in January of 24, all of that demonstrates not an intent to abandon anything, but to use it, albeit to use it in a changed fashion. Thank you for your consideration.
Can I just clarify? It's interesting because last year when we were voting on the commission in town here, I was asked by one of the select people, and Mr. Cogliano, he said, that's where I want to put that's where they should put the fire station. So that was what, just last fall? So how is this person applying for all these other things if they were talking about an empty lot there and putting a fire station in that place? But then, go on.
I'm sure if the town came and made a good enough cash offer to my client might revisit a business plan.
That'd probably be a better neighbor. Excuse me, but could, that last paragraph, I think, is very, very telling.
I thought it was good.
It's like, we don't want to perpetuate this.
I heard you, I heard it.
And I just don't appreciate you saying that they want to be part of the neighborhood
and they don't. I have heard the kid that lives there swearing to the people that are coming. I'm telling you, he stands out there with a dirty mouth and swearing at people with little children to get out of there. That's not wanting to be part of our community. I'm sorry, they're not my lights, but somebody has the lights. That's the community. This one over here threatened that she's gonna, have loud music. Yes, you.
Don't be goaded, stop.
What's,
I'm not goading her, I'm stating a fact. I'm not goading. And I was also told by her realtor that when they bought the property, she thinks she has enough pull in town to get what she wants. Exact quote, I was told, okay? What does she think this town is? What are we, a bunch of hokies or something? Like, that was told to me. So I'm telling you, they do not want to be part of our community. They want their business in Saugus. Period, don't lie.
I got married at Blessed Sacrament, so don't tell me I don't want to be a part of Saugus.
You don't want to be a part of our neighborhood is what I'm
How
saying.
can you say that? You don't even know me.
I know
You
your
don't
whole
know me at all.
well, let's
I live
let's
in
not,
Saugus.
let's stop the name calling.
Hi.
There won't be name calling.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one more? I do have 2 letters from direct abutters that support
I
this.
would like to hear from Mrs. Pinellas.
I was gonna ask Mr. Chairman, would it be possible to read her letter into the record? We keep referring to it, but I think you.
She read, I think, the important part of
Just
it,
the
but I agree.
last sentence, if
Yeah,
that's
she read,
okay.
but I can read the whole thing.
Thank you very much.
We are submitting this letter to express our opposition in granting a change in current non-conforming use from retail floral to retail suit tuxedo rental with related floral sales in a residential zone for the property located at 409 Lynn Fells Parkway. Since this site has not been used for a continuous period for more than 2 years, we respectfully ask that the board restore this property to conforming use of residential as outlined in the town bylaws. This property has not been in use for floral sales since the previous owner stopped operating in November of 2021. The location of this property is currently in a residential zone, and residents and abutters do not seek a hardship that exists to continue or bring additional retail opportunities into what is clearly a residential area. The current owners of this property were aware of the restrictions for this lot when they purchased it. There are many opportunities in Saugus that are available and already zoned for these activities. This choice was made with the buyer's full knowledge of the zoning bylaws. We sincerely hope that the board considers our concerns and returns this lot to a conforming use, quoting section 9.1 of the Saugus zoning bylaws. The provisions of this article apply to non-conforming uses, structures, and lots. It is the purpose of this bylaw to discourage the perpetuity of the non-conforming uses whenever possible. Respectfully, Saugus residents. Apologize for what I can read on some signatures. Glenda Scamoni from Laureen Road. Anthony Mercurio from McLean Road. We have, it looks like Theodore Boris from 364 Fellsway. Robert McQuaid from 7 Ironworks Way. Charles R. Leo from 4 Laureen. Alan Jansky from 164 Forest. Randy McQueen, 180 Forest. Mark Bolinas, 225 Essex Street. Mark Hubner, 88 Forest Street. Francesca Quinian, 29 Whitney Street. John Giacalone, 172 Forest. Fortuna Doucette, 7 Clinton Ave. Candace Volker, 364 Fellsway. Carl Volker, 364 Fellsway. Jacqueline Kitty, 158 Forest Street, Dolores Caggiano, 4 Norma Lane, Patricia Copeland, 20 Denver Street, Dawn McQueen, 180 Forest Street. And I think that's it. You're welcome.
And there are many names on the other letter, correct? You just verify that the other letter had many signatures?
Some other names.
Yeah, quite a few in that.
Mr. Chairman, could I just quickly, I forgot the last two, and then I'll be quiet. Dated today, my name is Stephen Laverty. We are neighbors of 409 Linfells Parkway. I'm writing in support of Russo's Tux Shop, establishing a Tux Florist shop in the existing location. My family has used Russo's many times in the past. Always had a great experience. Russo's has been in business for more than 50 years. Has a great reputation as a family-owned business. Thank you, Stephen Laverty. And this is from Michael Conlon. I'm writing to let you know that I am in complete approval of having a tuxedo shop at the location that was previously Petrie's Florist on the Linfells Parkway in Saugus. I live at 401 Linfells Parkway, just a few doors down. Sincerely, Michael Conlon. Thank you. And I'll submit those as well. May I submit all that if I scan and email it all to your office in the morning? Or do you want it tonight? Whatever you want.
You scan it to Stephanie for record.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We're in receipt of a letter from town council.
Yes.
And town council's opinion basically says, without further evidence from the petitioner, I recommend the board deny the petitioner's application. However, in the event the petitioner provides further information as outlined above in this letter, and you received a copy of this, I'd be happy to supplement my opinion in regard to legal standards applicable to the changes from one non-conforming use, the florist shop, to another, the tuxedo. At this point, I think what we should do is give them the opportunity to present it to town council. We can table this evening and get town council to see if he sees any merit in what they're saying or not, and then we vote.
Any other comments on that from the board?
I agree with him.
I agree.
I hate to keep on kicking it down the road, that's the only.
I agree, I think it should be decided, but I
I
think.
have something to say, actually. I think you might get kicked down the road some more because I'm just looking online. There's some pretty
And
damning.
please identify, sir, your name and address.
Matthew Signoli, I live at 50 Palmetto Street. But I'm go through the area as a real estate agent in the area. I serve Saugus. So I was looking online, it looks like this property has been on the market for 10 years.
Since 2015, I think it first went on.
Which shows us pretty clear that what was listed as the zoning and everything like that, no one else wanted the property. There's also some pretty damning evidence, pardon my French, from 2 years ago on Google, where you could see clearly the place is abandoned in images that's legally binding with Google Images. That might be what that gentleman was referring to from Google. Not so if you Google something, but literally a photo of
Okay.
it saying moving on the from 2 years ago.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back.
I'm Charles Leo, and I signed one of those petitions.
Yeah?
I lived in Melrose, for 50 years. And, I'll be turning 90 in May.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
You look good.
And, and I'm not a public speaker, and I hear what's going on, and I want you to correct me if I ask any question that's wrong. Is this property residential?
Yes.
It's zoned residential, the non-conforming
Now,
use
why
has been.
would we be even thinking about changing it to change it? If it's residential, is it possible to put houses in there?
One house.
Is it possible to put a house in there?
20,000 square
You-
feet.
there's one
That
lot.
lot's
There's one
30,000.
buildable lot.
Possible to put a house in there?
One lot, yeah.
So why would we wanna have a business there with a sign? All about any businesses that I see on the Fellsway, they're set back. You see the big signs, Marshalls, you see the big signs, you're gonna have a sign right on the Fellsway. You know, who knows if they're gonna have flashing signs, I don't know what kind of business. But
We
to me,
control the signs.
to me, if I were on that board, okay, I would want a home here, not a business. I don't understand, like I say, I drive, you look at Saugus, it's off the road. Any place you look, any businesses, they're all set back. This is right on the Fellsway. Why the hell would we want it? It doesn't make any sense to me to have I don't care whether it's a tuck shop or a variety store. It's right in your face. I think to me, I think everybody, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm saying, it's crazy. If you have the ability and the power to have a business there or a home, give me a home, please.
Okay.
Excuse, I asked the question,
We'll put up potch.
what is the advantage of having a tuck store?
That's not something that we can answer though. I mean, that's.
No, but I mean, well, you did, you talked about detriments and detrimental, so what is beneficial of having it? I mean, you named all detrimental things, so well, let's talk about beneficial things about having a tuck store there.
Well, it's
I mean,
not,
it be a residence, someone's living there, let it be a residence.
Okay.
that's not for me to answer.
Mr. Chairman, again, we have town council. Town council has offered to listen to the facts and give us his
Well,
opinion.
Mr. Turco, what are you thinking towards what Mr. Rossetti is saying?
I mean, I skip,
You understand, you're getting a flavor of the room,
oh yeah, I can count.
all right? Do you think it's a good, I mean, we've heard 3 of these 5 members say that we should continue this, and you should further make your case with Mr. Vasapoli directly.
Yeah, I think the only,
Are you thinking that way, or where are you right now? Where are you in your client?
I can speak for my company, we're comfortable with, if the board thinks it needs more time and it would be valuable to the board, then, we're not gonna stand in the way. The one thing I would say is I read Mr. Vasapoli, and you saw I sort of quickly skimmed through it. I think what he said was, if the evidence before the board on the issue of nonconformity and abandonment, once you make those determinations, assuming we put the evidence before you, then we should go back to him on the issue of whether or not we can change from a florist to a tux. So I do think that there's sufficient evidence before you tonight to confirm, ratify the fact that it is a prior non-conforming use that hasn't been abandoned, and then say now go back to Mr. Vasapoli and have the further discussion about, am I right that retail is retail? Am I right in drawing the analogy between the highway, which I said right up front, that was the highway zoning district language on special permits on page 118. But whatever you guys
Well, we
decide.
have 5, we're up here as 5, even though we have 2 attorneys on the board, we are up here as 5 laymen.
Of course.
So it's almost kind of beyond us to make that determination. Where the majority of the board's already stated they would like to continue this for Mr. Vasapoli to
Do you know
deal
when your
with,
next meeting is?
whatever the 4th Thursday
Fourth
is.
Thursday of April, which would be.
I will tell you, Mr. Cipolletta will probably be here to cover for me on that night, because I have
25th,
different,
April
I
25th.
have other responsibilities where I have to be in Boston that night. So it would either have to be, unless it got bumped till May.
Well, I don't know how you and your clients feel about bumping it to May.
So we'd have, I mean, if we keep it, I don't wanna be seen disrespectful if I don't appear here,
Right, no.
I have a separate job that
No,
requires me to be in Boston that night.
All right, but you would do all the legwork with Mr.
Oh, yeah, I would talk to Mr.
Up to that
Vasapoli.
point.
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. What I'd do, my
Mr.
plan would be,
Cipolletta,
first thing in the morning, I'll scan all the exhibits that I referenced, the documents, I'll send them to your clerk, get them to her so they're officially part of the record. I would assume she'll make sure she gets them to Mr. Vasapoli, or I'll send them to his office as well, and then I'll request a time for a call sooner rather than later.
So I just want to point out a couple things. We can continue this again.
Why?
Not on,
Why
what?
would you have a continuing? Doesn't the board
Did you
want to
hear?
make up an
Because
opinion
3
tonight?
people want, because in the letter from the attorney, he talked about the fact that if the petitioner brought more evidence forward, he would look at that evidence and it might change his decision. He put it in writing. Have you people seen the letter?
Did you get enough information? to
Anyone can
make an
contact Stephanie,
opinion?
Stephanie will, the letter, we don't have 40 copies of it right now, but anybody who wants a copy of that opinion letter from Mr. Vasapoli, call Stephanie on Monday and she'll email it right out to you.
Well, give me an
Okay.
opinion of the board tonight.
The opinion of the board is we can't make that final determination. We want to hear more from the attorney.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard it from 3 members before I even said that. I mean,
We all out here, I'm sure.
I mean, you have to understand, even, there's a lot here, this is not a short-term process. There's no threats here in saying this, but if the petitioner doesn't win, I'm sure there's probably, most likely, there will be court action.
Can I ask a
And they have a right to appeal any decision that we make to court. So let's make sure we dot every I and cross every T.
Can I ask a question?
Because it's probably gonna end up there.
Procedure question?
Yes.
I know you want, it was tabled until Vasapoli had.
We haven't done it yet, but that's,
Okay, but even if he says, okay, well, I see the evidence, don't you have the right to decide what you think is best?
yeah, then but
You
let's,
do have, okay, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna necessarily be on just his comment?
oh, no, it won't be, he's just
Okay, that's
Mr.
what-
Vasapoli, no.
Okay, because that's
No,
what
he's
it
gonna come
sounded
back
like.
to us with more opinion on the matter.
He'll give you,
And then we still make our
We'll all
decision.
make your own decisions.
But most likely, this isn't a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing, because I really expect whatever like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, I'm dotting i's and crossing t's and giving people the opportunity to do everything, because there's a good chance this could end up in a courtroom, no matter which way we go. If we vote and give it to them, the neighbors might be in together and fight this in court. If they lose, they might take it into court. So we need to be careful, like I said. I don't wanna kick it down the road, but we really need to cover everything.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that it is gonna end up in a courtroom. Too much passion is flying around for it not
And
to.
one more question, procedurally wise, why weren't all the abutters notified?
Stephanie, it shows me that she
Well,
has.
DCR is in a butter. They own the street. Why weren't they?
I-
See, that's, I mean, and I know
Stephanie,
they
clerk
They were, DCR is aware.
were aware, but they were not notified, I know,
I
because
believe they
I
were.
actually was there when I
I mean,
told them.
believe they
Stephanie
were.
can handle,
Okay.
she sent out, this might be one of the biggest lists she ever sent out.
Yeah, but
She
those
had
are
to
for
send out
people-
everything
I
in
know,
Hill,
but nothing on
everybody in
those-
Hillview got a letter,
All right.
because they're within so many feet. And in Sherwood,
I don't think the Geronda's Foundation did.
I don't know what Stephanie can answer that procedure better than I can. I don't know if we send them out to all those
I think it's
businesses.
within a certain footage of the,
Yeah, but I don't know, that's her job, and
Oh.
she's the only one that can really answer it, and I know she sent out, I don't know if she missed anybody, because it
Well, I
was
know
an enormous
DCR is
list.
their road, and I know they did not receive one. Well, maybe it went to some, now I'm gonna correct myself. I
don't
don't
know.
know that it might have gone into
To who?
both,
whoever's
you know,
listed as
so
the
that,
landowner.
but they weren't aware, Breakout wasn't aware of it at that point, when the first meeting was held. And I do wanna correct myself, cause I don't wanna say anything improper. When I mentioned Mr. Cogliano, it had nothing to do with a comment, or it was just a point of timing, it was just for me, so
Okay.
it had nothing to do with anything
Alright.
else.
Yeah, I just want to try to keep personalities out of things.
Yeah, no, I just was trying to say, that was, I remember we were having a,
It's hard for things not to be political, but I try.
no, I wasn't trying to do that, that's why I'm trying to correct myself.
Sure, no, you wasn't taking that. Anybody else, anything? You want to move the question about continuing, Peter?
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes. All right, so motion to continue to allow the petitioner to contact Mr. Vasapoli relative to the conditions in his letter and to ask if that changes his opinion.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. If you're talking, I can't hear.
Mr. Rossetti made a motion that it go to Mr. Vasapoli to continue with his opinion based upon new evidence that Mr. Turco has presented. You're welcome. And also within that motion is the meeting will be continued to the fourth Thursday
May instead of April.
in April.
April.
No,
Okay,
Ms. Russo doesn't want to go to May, she doesn't need to,
okay, that's fine,
okay?
that's fine.
And last, before, if everyone can leave orderly
Looking
this
for a
week.
second on the motion. Stephanie is looking for a second on the motion.
All right, second,
Okay.
Stephanie?
Thank you. Mr. Northrup?
Yes.
Mr. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Rossetti?
Yes.
Ms. Romano? Yes. Mr. Travers?
Yes. Okay, thank you, good night.
Happy
And
Easter.
please leave through this door and,
You want a motion to adjourn?
do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. A motion to adjourn. I second it. Third it.